Hi everyone, welcome to the second episode of Royal Rivalries. I'm 𝗏𝗏, talking from London in England, and I'm joined by Shiv in Sydney in Australia. Hi Shiv, how you doing?
Hey Vinay, not too bad, can't complain, just finished a pretty good series, so yeah, I think I'm good for a while now.
Yeah, fantastic. You know, I was so positive before the series, as you know. I was really upbeat, I was ready. And yeah, firstly, before I go into the whole England kind of review of the Ashes, how do you think it went for Australia from your side, and any kind of views from your side in terms of the Ashes series?
Yeah, no, so just sort of going back to the last time we caught up, even when we were trying to predict what the series would look like at the end of it, I don't think, either of us really saw this happening. We didn't really expect it to be this one-sided. We kept thinking there'd be at least one game where, I kept thinking at least there'd be one game where England would put on a good fight and probably steal a win. But obviously super happy. It was a pretty good series, complete domination, and it's always good to see, the players that you have your money on come down and do what they're known to do. So it wasn't the case where the team had to rely on just one or two players. It was a solid team effort where you saw right from ball one up until the last game. I thought it was just really good to watch. So
yeah. And how do you think Pat Cummins went as being captain? I know he missed a game through kind of another situation that occurred, but otherwise, how do you think he went in the series as captain?
Surprisingly, really good. I mean, I really had my apprehensions about seeing him take over captaincy duties, especially being a fast bowler, and that too in red ball cricket. But I thought it was a really good start for him as a captain. I'm still on the fence about sort of imagining him as a long-term prospect for Australia as a red ball captain. But just the fact that he sort of took it on with no experience at all, and not just managed to sort of put together a series win, but just display absolute dominance with what he did and lead his team on. I thought that was really good to see. So quite surprised, and I'd love to see him as captain again, but at this point, I'm sure there's always somebody else who can jump in and do it.
Yeah, and in terms of the bowling attack, I tell you, I was impressed with Scott Boland as well, coming in replacement for Hazlewood, and wow, what a fantastic bowling performance! Well, performances he's had, with some great kind of numbers on the wickets and average, etc. So what a great replacement that was.
100%. I mean, he was always known as the MCG specialist, and you thought we were just going to see him in that test match and that would be it. But just the way he sort of picked up his spawn, obviously used his form and his experience playing in Melbourne, and not just show it at the MCG but also in the test that followed. I thought he did a really good job, and it was so good to see him. I've always believed that he deserved a lot more than he's got so far on an international level. So it was, for me, on a personal level, it was nice to see him play. And yeah, it's definitely one of the highlights for me from the entire series.
Yeah, and also batting-wise, I mean, 𝗂𝗏𝗄 coming in with the 𝗖cie and the double century. I mean, I've always rated him as a great player, batsman anyway, and to replace kind of Travis Head in that match, and then come in and just really dominate with the bat. I mean, that was incredible.
Oh, 100%. I think, 𝗖𝗏𝗽's always been the kind of batsman who's been the right batsman who's just been stuck in the wrong era. That's what I've always thought. He's just been stuck in an era where you've had so many equally good batsmen and arguably better batsmen, or batsmen who've been a little more consistent. But every time he's delivered, he's looked better than most batsmen of this time. So it was just really nice to see him this time. Even though it was towards the end of the series, it was nice to see him. And I think I can go as far as saying that it wasn't very surprising to see the way he batted, because it was a long time coming. And like I said, watching Scott Boland bowl was one highlight for me, and watching 𝗖𝗏𝗽 come in and do what he did was definitely the other one. So
I think, and I think in respect to that, what we talked about is that kind of depth within the bowling and the batting. And when we come on to kind of England, I think from the first match, there was a lot of expectation on the England side, going in from the kind of series with the overseas series that they had leading up to the Ashes. And yeah, I mean, straight from ball one, it was like, welcome to Australia. Like, you know, it was just like, oh, it was just shocking, really. I think it's the whole batting really that let them down, because there was a number of things really. You know, people are looking at the kind of preparation that the team had and the selection process. You know, it was one thing after another. Then Butler getting injured. You know, he didn't really have a good series, to be honest. We know the capabilities he has for the Royals. You know, we know what a player he is, but he just didn't fire in the Test series, which is a shame, and he got injured. But you know, there's a lot of things to take for England out of this series, because it was complete domination by the Aussies from ball one. There was never really. I mean, we gave a bit of fight in the fourth Test, where we kind of able to draw it out, like held it. That was probably the most kind of. We were just like, it was like a victory. You know, there was just a huge kind of achievement to just get the draw on that Test match. But as a series as a whole, it's really you got to look at the batting, the poor batting performances, the dropped catch opportunities that really led to kind of opportunities missed. Bowling wise, we did well, like with Anderson and Broad, you know, and Robertson kind of coming in. His fitness is kind of questionable, but otherwise we lacked in the spin department really. I mean, Jack Leach did try, but he just didn't. He wasn't as effective looking at line, you know. He was on it, consistent, and equally handy with the bat. Line was as well. So yeah, there's a lot of things to take out for England, and Root as a captain, you know, yeah, you know, I hope he continues as captain, because he's our best kind of batsman and our best player at the moment. There's questions around the kind of coaching, kind of management, but I really hope that we take the learnings out from this series, because we really need to have a much better all-round performances from the whole team as in general, because it was just disappointing, to be honest. Very disappointing, because I was so excited at the beginning. I thought, you know, we had a good contest on our hands, but it led to complete one-side dominance as the matches progressed.
Right. No, I think I think it's just definitely one of those series, definitely one of the Ashes where England's got so much to learn from. Sort of go back to the drawing board, and I'm obviously it's too early to predict what the next Ashes would look like, but I think just the lessons they've learned in this series would definitely serve them well. Just not in terms of going back and finding their form as a lead up to the next Ashes, but also sort of in terms of developing just sort of grooming the next crop to slip into the squad before the Ashes and sort of get to where they should be. And bottom line, I always thought the bottom line was that they really missed Archer. I can't even begin to imagine what the series would have looked like if Archer was around.
Yeah, and you know, that's right. You know, we missed that raw pace. We had that with Wood towards the end of the series. Like he was coming good, you know. So we have Mark Wood, but Archer is able to be consistent like that match for match, and hopefully we have him back from his injuries, etc. Pretty soon. But you're right, we did lack that really kind of like raw, fast pace of the Aussie batsman. But yeah, no, it's about moving forward, right, from the England side kind of perspective. But what we have got is the Women's Ashes as well, starting tomorrow. And a bit of a different format for the women. They play kind of like some T20 matches, then have a Test match, then have ODIs. So it's kind of varied, kind of in terms of the format, in terms of their kind of series. But you know, our hope now is across to the women's side, and they start off tomorrow. So we hope that they give a good performances in their matches, and you know, really hope that we take something out from the kind of women's series from an England perspective.
No, definitely. I was hoping to sort of catch the Test down at Canberra. I believe it's on the 27th this month, so I might see, because it's like the day after we have a public holiday here, which is the day after Australia Day. So it might be tricky to actually get a day off because I'm getting days off before that. But I might see if I can at least squeeze a day in and try catching one of the days. And because I've never seen a women's Test before, so it'll definitely be one thing to take off my list.
That'd be fantastic.
it's really good venue as well. So yeah.
Fantastic. And as we then go into February, we're into the auction, the mega auction for Rajasthan Royals. A lot going on in terms of that as well. So where do you see the kind of auction going, and what's your kind of views on that? And what's your kind of firstly retention wise? We've got Joss Buttler, Sanju, and Jaiswal. I think there were 3 good picks there for the Royals. But what's your views on in terms of the mega auction and the Royals?
Yeah, no, I think I'm completely with you on how good the picks were for our retention. I was definitely hoping we'd retain someone like 𝗖𝗍𝗍 Jaiswal, because I still believe he's only getting started, and despite being in that very nascent stage of his 2020 career, he's already shown a lot of promise. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how he grows as a batsman, and especially under the wings of someone like Sanju Samson, who's been around for so long in 2020 cricket. In all honesty, though, I was looking at someone like Rashid Khan when I saw that he was not retained. There was a part of me who was low-key excited and hopeful that he might find a way back. Not find a way back. There might be a way where Rajasthan Royals could make inroads into fighting for him and getting him into our side. So I was a little disappointed earlier this week when that didn't happen, and when he was finally confirmed by the new team, the Lucknow team. But yeah, no, I think just based on the fact that Sanju Samson as a very new captain is going to go into another edition of the IPL. I think the focus really should be about not just young talent anymore. We've obviously been historically known to groom young talent, and not just groom young talent, also bring out some really good cricketers at the end of it. But I think at this point we should be looking at a bit of experience to come on board as well. Someone like Sanju Samson at the helm of it definitely can make do with some experience as we go into the auction. So that's what I'm hoping for. But what about you? Do you have any players in mind? How are you looking at the whole thing?
Yeah, look, I agree with your points. I think it's a balance of having good experience with the young talent coming through as well. So it's about balancing that up. I think what's going to be interesting, especially from the overseas players' perspective, would be bubble fatigue around their kind of cricket commitments. We already know that Stokes is committed to English Test cricket, and so he's pulled out of the IPL. There's going to probably be a few more players that will come out, which will change in terms of who's going to be available for the IPL this year. But I like Sanju as a leader. I think Joss Buttler's the best English white ball batsman, so that's good. When you've got that with Jaiswal, who's a developing kind of young, talented Indian player, we've got our pretty much top 3 sorted. It's about what we do for the rest of the squad, right? So hopefully we get, from my side, I just really hope we get 2 good good all-rounders, a good quality spinner, and pace-wise, good left arm. Maybe Jetton can. Hopefully we go for him as well, give him the opportunity. But there's a whole group of talented players, so I'm sure the Royals management team have got good strategy in place on where they want to spend the purse, because I think we got the 3rd largest out of all of them. Yeah, so we've got a bit of money to spend, so it'd be interesting to see what happens in a few weeks around that. And then especially with the 2 new teams coming on board, they've obviously had their first kind of picks, and they've picked, I do like Bishnoi as a spinner as well, but he's been selected by one of the new teams as well. So yeah, it'd be really interesting to see how the mega auction kind of pans out from a Royals perspective. But really looking forward to it.
No, definitely 100%. I'm super excited about 2 new teams coming on board in general. That is going to play out. It's just going to change the whole dynamics of the tournament. And that's what I'm looking forward to. And as a fan of the Royals, I feel like that's probably also what we require at this point. We are in a stage where the more change happens around us, I think it will be better for a team like us. And I think this one's a good place to start, where 2 new teams are sort of getting into the mix, and it'll be definitely something to look forward to.
Yeah, it's like what you said. It's a fresh opportunity, and this mega auction is big for the Royals because we've got the 3 retentions, but then it's about building the squad and the depth, and there's as there's more teams, there's obviously a lot more competition in buying the players now as well, so it makes it all the more interesting. So yeah, really looking forward to it a few weeks time. And how are things in Australia in itself in terms of where you are in Sydney COVID wise? How are the things happening there?
I mean, I think pretty much similar to what's been happening around the world, just in terms of the new strain spreading very fast here, but it's sort of anyway become the new normal anyway, in a way that we're sort of living with it. I work in sport here in Sydney. I don't work in cricket, I work with softball, and we've sort of learned to live with it in a way that we've continued to have our championships and obviously maintain certain procedures and documentation in place to have these events in a very safe and COVID-friendly way. So yeah, I mean, it's just we're just trying to stick to the rules and be as safe as possible, but also not hold back anymore in terms of not go out and play sport, which is what we lost out on last year for a large part of it. So yeah, what about back there?
Yeah, so pretty much similar in England, where we were getting kind of like 100,000 new cases every day. That seems to be dropping off. Yeah, it's pretty much like what you said. It's as long as you kind of keep within the kind of with the restrictions that are kind of around it, as long as you kind of follow the guidelines, etc., it seems to be kind of dropping off, and hopefully we get to a bit more normality. But the key thing is there's these sports events that are still happening here in England, and there's still things that are going on. So there is a slight normality to life, but COVID is still there, and it's still something that we need to be careful of. But the good thing is, like you said, for this year, hopefully it doesn't stop any of the kind of sports events from kind of happening. We really hope the IPL continues to happen in India this year. So we see how that kind of goes in India in terms of their kind of numbers and how that's kind of being monitored there as well. But yeah, otherwise it's been really good to catch up, Shiv, and hopefully the women's team win the Ashes for us here. So
yeah, I mean, it's always good to hope, I guess. I think with the women's team there, we've got a pretty strong side here. So but it'll be good. I'm sure it'll be a lot more. It'll be a much more well-thought contest as opposed to what we saw with the men. So definitely looking forward to it.
Great. Okay, man. We'll catch up very soon. Take care, mate.
Speak soon, Vinay.
Cheers.